So that would be the first step, because you may look at it and be like, I've gone to like 6 months worth of council meetings, and I now have zero interest in being on that dais. I'd rather be an activist in the streets, grassroots, pushing for change from outside. Or you may look at it and go, that's exactly where I want to be.
Right.
Right.
One of the great things
That's
that has come out of, at least, well, I wouldn't say one of the great things that come out of COVID, but with me, like I say, like my town meetings, my town council meetings, and county meetings said I'm interested in running in Freeholder. Everything has been recorded and it's all virtual. And so it's very easy to find your past, council meetings and stuff like that, because either your town or city will have a YouTube channel. My town has been using a YouTube channel. They've been putting everything up on there as far as, their meetings and stuff go, or your county website and stuff. They have everything with all the recordings and stuff. So to be able to backtrack, to get caught up on what local issues are or what you might have missed, you can, get plugged into that. And it's been a lot easier with, if you do have a question that you want to present to your town council or county and stuff like that, there's all that information is provided that you can send those out there and get all the information to attend as well. So it's been a little bit easier, to not have to do it, say, in person, but you have those options, and you're also able to backtrack of what has been going on if you have missed it.
Right.
So I'm just throwing that as well, because.
Well, thank you for the helpful advice. I don't want to take over. So.
No, that's, what, I love that, because, as a lot of people are thinking the same thing, and it's the same questions, like, how do I get started? And we're all in this together, and we're all learning this together. And it's, the true passion of people that want to run to office and make a change in their town and cities and stuff. This is where it starts. And it says, if just need to know how. So, these questions and stuff, I always love it. And plus also hearing Jim's, responses are always, very insightful. So I really appreciate Christy.
Yeah, it's nice to have a community, because I'm a video editor. Now I'm self-educating about politics and local politics, and I'm reading more books than ever. And I'm just it's been such a learning experience, and I am passionate about it, because now I see things clearly. And it's like, okay, now what do I do about it? How do I stop this from continuing? And this is a step, but I want to keep pushing it further.
But that's what I love about the People's Party, is that we're here to support each other, and you have that community and stuff. That's what, like your question earlier, what I feel separates us from other independent groups. Or, say, if you've ever been to, your Democratic committee meetings or anything, your, Democratic county committees and stuff like that, it's, you might feel like an outsider. But we're here to make that change and support people that are really true progressives, and that we're here to support one another.
Yeah.
Picking favorites or, selected, not elected, and all that is, we're done with it. We're here.
Right.
We want to start making the real change. So.
Yeah. And these, Andrea, you hit the record button, right, today?
Yes.
Yeah. So New Jersey People's Party has a YouTube channel with our first official meeting is on there with a lot of information, and we're recording this, and this will go on there as well. We'll have the video, the tech editors will take out the chat so that nobody's personal information or whatever is there, and it'll just be the video of the meeting. And so we went over a lot of stuff in there about, how to get connected. And Jim has a really good section in there about how to run and to reach out to him with his email address and stuff as well. And we're hoping Jim will sign on to be the coordinator of the New Jersey Hugs political working group. He just needs to see how much work that entails, but we're in the middle of that. And so just like national, we want to do other working groups. And so one would be action, which would be like helping to put together the stimulus rallies if we decide to go forward with that. And then also there would be, whatever other kind of actions you would like. There's also social media, but on the national level, I would go to that working group, which here Andrea has the chart for us. There's the coordinator circles, which are the, upper level. But then these are all the working groups within national. And then within the working groups, there are circles, and they are listed on the right underneath each group. That, like for social media, you could join to help share the Facebook stuff, share on Instagram, Reddit, do research. I know they also work, besides what's listed there, they also are looking for people who might have contacts with local newspapers and things like that. And but on all those channels, so you could join social media or organizing if you wanted to learn too, because it looks like we're getting big, and and we would like to get bigger and have more hubs in New Jersey. As we get a concentrated amount of people in one area, we could then have a group break off, still be connected with the state, but then also have their own meetings and work on things together there, because I can't do 3,500 people, but so and there's a lot of really good resources within National to help us all get started. I've never organized before. As much as I've been an activist, I've never been involved in the organizing part. And MPP has really been very helpful with trainings on all different levels, and for how to be a hub, how to do outreach when you're speaking to people, things like that. So and our Phil is on our call again tonight. He's our regional coordinator, and he's been wonderful. He responds to all my questions, and believe me, there's been a lot. And so you don't need to shy away from that, at all, if you're afraid, because if I could learn it, you could learn it too. But I don't want to take up too much of the meeting. If we have time at the end, we could do more discussion about the groups and what we might like to do. But I want to make sure that we give Zena enough time to give her presentation on fair ballot access. And I'm so glad she agreed to be here with us today. And that's how I met Andrea, was through volunteering with Zena's campaign for Congress against Bill Pascrell. And we were doing the car caravans, and I just started talking to her about MPP. And then she went to a rally with me, and then she said, "We can do this, Kate, come on." And I was like, "No, I hate organizing." And she goes, "No, you're good, you can do this." And so here we are. So
I always love working with Zena, and when you really talk about, she had run this last primary and said me and Kate were active in her campaign, and when you really talk about candidates that really walk the walk, or she is just fantastic. And so, with I think a lot of alignment of this primary and the obstacles we have in New Jersey, Zena has come up with a great project, the Fair Ballot Project. And I'm gonna share my screen again, but I'm gonna turn it over to Zena.
Okay. So can I control this, Kate? Andrew, is this?
Not for the slideshow, but
Okay. Okay, well, I'll just get started. Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year. I love you too. I see some other familiar faces and friends on this call. Hi, everybody. Boy, this year started off really interesting for the first 6 days, huh? I almost brought a glass of wine to this call because of all the craziness. So yeah, as Andrea mentioned, I ran for Congress, just first time I'd run for Congress for anything really this past year and a half. I ran against Bill Pascrell, the New Jersey's 9th Congressional District. And, I think kind of naively didn't realize that there was a whole issue with the line. And I thought, okay, well, let me jump in. We can debate and the best ideas win, in an ideal world. But as many of you guys already know, we have some very interestingly designed ballots here in New Jersey. There's a professor at Rutgers University called Julia Sass-Rubens, who does a lot of the analysis, a lot of the studies. She's written a lot of the work that shows sort of what the effects is of a ballot. And I'll give you an example. Just in 2020, nationwide, we saw 8 congressional incumbents lose their seat to challengers. Well, according to Julia Sass-Rubins, an incumbent at the federal level hasn't lost their seat in the last 5 decades. So basically, longer than I've been alive, an incumbent who has, regardless of the challenger, has never lost their seat. And what happened, and the reason for that is because of the design of our ballot. And thanks, Andrea, for putting it up there. So our ballot, unlike most other ballots around the country, has these columns, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, and rows. That inherently put a bias in the way that people sort of look for it, because most voters out there are low information voters. You know, very few people actually do a lot of research. You know, unlike you guys, very few people actually do a lot of research on the candidates, and they'll walk in, and if they're a Democrat, they'll vote Democrat. And I was, you know, guilty of the same thing prior to running for Congress, but. If you see what a properly designed ballot is, it basically is a list of names without any lines to indicate preference, without any rows to indicate preference, without any slogans to really identify who the Democrats are backing. And people are, you know, randomly choose names or are forced to do research. And those contests are, you know, you see challengers winning over, you know, poorly performing incumbents all the time. What the Fair Ballot Project does, and it's going to, in coordination with a couple of other things that are happening here in the state, which you may or may not know, but there is a lawsuit that has been filed in the Third Circuit here in New Jersey, and in federal court, basically, that has a list of plaintiffs, former candidates for office, who are basically suing the state to say, hey, this ballot design is unconstitutional. Here's the data, here's the numbers, and here's why. And it's proceeding its way through federal court. And most people who kind of understand what's going on there really do think that, you know, we will prevail because the ballot is clearly unconstitutional. In conjunction with that, at the end of the day, if we win this lawsuit, what it's going to force the legislature to basically look at the ballot, because they're the ones that are responsible for it, and, you know, and create basically bubble ballot, just create something that is fair. And if anybody's interested in the data or the research behind this, you know, just email me and I will, I'm happy to share it. There's a lot of it. So at the end of the day, you know, we're going to ask assuming we win this, the legislature needs to do some work and come up with a, you know, a good ballot. What the Fair Ballot Project does, the organization that's fairballotproject.org, is it's a nonprofit, but we are petitioning and lobbying legislators already to sign a pledge to agree that they will support fair ballots. It's a simple ask. We just want you to support fair ballots. We're not asking, you know, for a specific thing. We're just asking you to support them. And our team of volunteers are basically sending out pledges continuously to all 120 legislators who are up for re-election, by the way, in 2021. And we will be expanding that universe and lobbying the county clerks in each county, because in theory, they're responsible for the ballot design, and then followed by freeholders. So basically everybody's going to know that we are coming after them to fix this, because, you know, as probably Jim will tell you, and a bunch of other people here, you know, they're the way that the bias in our ballot will never allow sort of true progressives to, you know, prevail, I think, here, because quite honestly, to overcome something like a line, you would need millions of dollars in advertising, because, you know, like 95% of the voters who walk into the polling place don't know who the candidates are and just vote Democrat if they see, you know, that line as a Democratic line. So that in a nutshell is what we're doing. If you guys believe in fair ballots, we also have on our website a a function that sends the pledge directly to your legislator, to your 2 assembly people and your state senator. We've built the functionality on our website. So if you just fill in your address basically there, it'll send it to your rep saying that you guys, you want to see fair ballots. So that's what we're trying to do. And we're hoping in the long term, my hope is in the long term is that we get a fair ballot and it gives all candidates sort of equal footing when voters walk into the voting booth, because really we really ought to be selecting our leaders based on merit and competency rather than cronyism and who is in the pockets of any political boss. So that's pretty much, I think, in a nutshell. I can take questions on it. Please fill out the send the pledge to your legislators on our website. It would be great.
I have to say, one thing that I love about your website is how easy it is to contact your representatives to support this. And so you really take that whole guesswork of, I don't know what to say, or I don't know how to go about this. It's easy. You just put your information in and it's like an automatic thing. And it's really takes a lot of the guesswork out. So whatever your comfort level is with reaching out to your representatives, if you're new to reaching out to representatives, this is a very simple way to get this out there. And it's definitely a good cause because, like Sina said, is with this line, it really, it's really making it difficult for us to get any progressives elected. And we've seen that a lot with a lot of the hard work that we've done this past election with the primaries. And a lot of it has to do with the line. And it said it's very unique to New Jersey, as other states don't have these issues. And so to make it fair, to have these fair ballots and to give a chance, especially as we come into, say, an independent party and stuff, these are issues that are very important to us. So I'm going to open it up for questions if anybody has one.
Andrew, I just like to offer a bit of clarity on this, and I apologize. I certainly see some familiar faces, and I know there are people on here who know this ballot issue inside and out. But there may be people who are new to this and don't understand. It needs to be really clear that when we're talking about these ballots and the line, this is just primary ballots. And there are only 2 political parties in the state of New Jersey that have primaries, because they are the only 2 parties that are recognized as official political parties. And those are the Democrats and the Republicans. So if we as a People's Party are going to be running candidates, and I'm not saying that the line doesn't need to be dealt with, and if people want to put effort into it, I wholeheartedly support it. Nobody got screwed by the line more than I did in 2018. But that's going to do nothing for the People's Party. We don't need fair ballots in the Democratic primary and the Republican primary to do what we want to do as the People's Party. Right? If we want to become an officially recognized party within the state of New Jersey, we need to garner 10% of the votes in an election year where all 80 assembly seats are up. It's a really convoluted benchmark that they have created. Within the state of New Jersey right now, there's the Constitution Party, the Conservative Party, the Labor Party, the Republican Party, the Green Party, Democratic Party, Libertarian Party, Socialist Party, Natural Law Party, the New Jersey Independents, the Patriot Party, and the Unity Party. 2 of those are officially recognized. But every one of those parties in any given election cycle can put a line on the general election ballot. And this is where, we had this, Kate, you were sharing message exchanges with folks from the national organization. I think there's some confusion about New Jersey, right? Because in order for us to get quote unquote ballot access, if we're just going for the general election, it's pretty easy. We just got to have candidates that are willing to affiliate and put People's Party under their name, and they would all be grouped in one column. Now, if we're talking about wanting to have a primary election, that's a sanctioned primary by the Division of Elections in the state of New Jersey, then we have to become one of those official parties like the Republican Party or the Democratic Party who have their primaries in June. And this is where that line issue is an issue, right? But if we're going to be organizing the People's Party, and again, I am passionate about the line because I do think it creates a terrible system for Democratic and Republican candidates, especially those who are progressive and are not willing to kiss the rings and the rear ends of the power brokers. But it has nothing to do with what we want to do at the People's Party. It doesn't. Now, we could say, well, in the interim, as we're building toward establishing the People's Party, we might want to be able to support progressives who are running in the Democratic Party. But we have to realize at the end of the day, they're running as Democrats if they're worried about the line. They're running in the Democratic Party to become a Democratic nominee to run in the general election as the Democratic candidate. Again, if the groups that are working on this can bust that line, no one would be happier than me, because I would love to see all of those party sycophants have their power blown up within the Democratic establishment. But again, it does not have to have an impact on what we're doing with the People's Party. And this is the questions that we have to ask about, do we want to put a ton of energy into trying to become an officially recognized party? Because that's a heavy lift right now. Again, it's 10% of the general election vote in a year when the 80 assembly seats are up. So in order for us to do that, we would, in theory, have to have, if you did it in 2021 as an example, because that's a year that will happen, we would need a candidate for governor. We would need state senators. We have to see which state Senate seats. They're not all up in the same cycle. So which state Senate seats are up. We would need to find candidates in 80 state legislative districts. And then we would also need to have county freeholder candidates in each of our 21 counties, because that is how the county clerk brackets those lines together. Right. So that alone is a heavy lift if that's what we want to try and do, let alone trying to focus in on anything else. And again, Zena, I would love to see that line busted, because the Democrats are as corrupt as can be, right? And the line is is awful for representative democracy.
Hey, Jim, can I jump in a second?
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said, and specifically about, the way you described the whole process. I've done some reading. It's all accurate, what you said. A couple things, though, just to clarify. Even if you run candidates with the same slogan in a general election, there's no obligation on the county clerk to put you in the same column on the general election ballot, which is really screwed up. And that's where, because you have to actually meet that threshold Jim was talking about. That's what the 10% of all the assembly votes before you actually become a ballot column status and or be able to run a primary election. So they can actually split you up on a general election, which they might do, just as a pointer. And that law about the 10% threshold, that's been in place since 1920. Prior to that, they had lower thresholds and did it at a county level, which is something that I had suggested this spring also, or last spring. But anyway, I agree that, I don't know, it doesn't make sense for you guys to try and become one of these parties, but if you don't ultimately do it, you're always going to be at a disadvantage also. So we really need to lower the threshold. And as far as a strategy for you guys, maybe not working on the line itself, but definitely, we're forming a network of groups who are all looking at electoral reform. And, it's like we're all going to be working together, pushing on all this stuff. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I have to run to my local meeting. But you guys are doing a great job. Right. And thanks for that description, Jen. It was pretty much, it was right on target all the day.
And thank you, Herb. I wanted to let everybody know Herb is I don't know if he's the guy, but he's a big part of the ranked choice voting work going on in New Jersey right now. And Herb is going to speak with us at our next monthly meeting on February 3rd. So we welcome you back, Herb, and you can explain it some more for us. Okay, because this is all the stuff that's way over my head.
Listen, as we were talking about, like, as as it's been said, as we're building the people's power, we're in the very beginning stages. And again, as what's so important about, the ballot line is that it is going to affect us as we do get started. So again, I just want to thank Zena, and if anybody else has any questions for her, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I'm from Massachusetts, and well, I'm living in Jersey now. But in Massachusetts, you don't have to be a registered Democrat to vote for Democrat. You don't have to be a registered Republican to vote for Republican. So it's got the not the half open, but it's got the full open primary. So you could be an independent, vote whatever. You could be a Republican and vote the Democrat. Does that kind of also play a role in how things are decided in New Jersey as well? Like, if it was an open primary, would that help? Or
So,
not so much?
So Pedro, that's a good question. So the way the primaries work here in New Jersey is that if you walk into the the polling place and you're a Democrat, they're going to hand you the Democratic ballot.
Yeah.
You could be an independent and declare day of which party, and then they'll hand you the appropriate ballot. The Republic, I'm obviously more familiar with what the Democrats do. I would imagine the Republicans do something similar because they have their own machine, but which is smaller than the Democratic one here in New Jersey. But so it's a mixed primary is what it's called.
Right, but if it was like fully
Republicans
open and you
is
could
the
do
same.
whichever, would it make a difference, or does that not really make much of a difference?
It
'Cause,
wouldn't
you
make
know,
much of a difference. I mean, for the primary, you're choosing for your own party who you want to send into the general. So
Right.
it wouldn't. I don't think it would affect it at all.
All right, thank you.
What is the progress on ranked choice voting? I'm not like super familiar with like the legislation behind it, but like it is very, very like popular and works well in Maine. It's proven to do so this past election.
Herb would probably be the best person. Unfortunately, he's not on this call. It does actually solve some of the problems that we're trying to do with eliminating the line and just creating fair ballots here in New Jersey. But it's something I support, certainly. So it's anything that gets you to a fair ballot is,
Yeah, I was gonna say like you like instead of like stopping at the line, ask for more, ask for ranked
Yeah.
choice voting.
I don't know a lot about ranked choice voting, but from what I understand, it's where you wouldn't have to be afraid to vote for that. The Green Party, like that could be your first choice. And if your candidate didn't reach a certain threshold, you would also on your ballot pick your second choice. So if your first choice didn't make a threshold percentage of your candidate didn't win a certain percentage of the vote, your second choice would then go to the next, your vote would go to the next person that you chose. And then, so it wouldn't be like voting for Howie and then nothing if he's not in the threshold. If you voted for Howie didn't make the percentage, your second choice vote, your person with candidate your vote would go to him then. And then so that so like say the vote was split over the three candidates, this way it would push your second choice up a little bit more. But Herb is going to be here next week to explain it all much better than me. I see John is on here who can probably explain more too.
Yeah.
But
Hey, hi, I'm Larry White. I'm in the Speakers Bureau for Board of Choice, New Jersey.
okay, great.
If you want, I can talk about it for a minute. I won't go into great depth because Herb's better than me at it.
Sure, go ahead.
And he will have the floor next month. And I thank you for inviting him. All of these reform efforts need to have coordination and coalition because together they can create a better democracy for New Jersey. Yeah, it's simple. You vote for your candidates in the order of your preference. First, second, and you can stop at second choice. I mean, if you're sliding over towards the right candidates, then maybe you want to just leave those spaces blank. So say you did vote for the Green Party and the Green Party only polled 5%. So then your second choice, your vote would transfer to your second choice and be added to the cumulative total of that second choice until you got a plurality amongst the choices, okay? And the benefits of this are myriad, but the most important thing is there's not going to be any more attack politics, because if you're not going to attack somebody, an opponent who may be somebody's second choice, you know, or you may be their second choice, but they won't be if you're attacking their first choice, you know. And so I think the level of vitriol will drop dramatically. Another important thing economically is that you only need to have one election. You don't need to have a primary. You just have one election in the season and you're done, because the ranking through rounds till you get to a plurality winner is the same thing, or it's better than a primary. Obviously, then you can have multiple parties running for an office and nobody's painted with the spoiler effect or marginalized in that way. So these are all advantages of ranked choice voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I'm sorry, I was trying to answer a question in the chat. Are there any more questions for Zena or about any of that stuff? Otherwise, we can open the floor to talk about anything that you might want to talk about regarding our People's Party here in New Jersey. We also have our coordinator on here, Phil, who can help us with anything that I can't help us with, but or we could talk more about elections if you had running for election questions. And
So I just want to thank Zena so much for coming on and talking about fair ballot projects. So as we're just sorting and as we're getting the ballot access and stuff like that, said, you know, whether we choose to have, you know, to run a People's Party as a slogan, or as we wait to be an official party and stuff, so we're at the very, you know, grassroots of this. And I feel like this is a very important issue in New Jersey, and this is definitely in the long run is going to be helping us. So I just want to thank Zena for all of her hard work and everything that she does. She's really true, you know, activist and advocate for so many different issues, and always just a pleasure to work with, and just know, as you know, just as a friend, or say, you know, Zena, then you're just automatically a friend. That's just your relationship with her. So I just want to thank you again. And anybody else has any questions for Zena or any other questions as we go forward, because we have about 15 minutes until the top of the hour so we'll go ahead and turn it over if anybody has anything else to remark.
Just curious about joining the creative team. I'm a photographer and an artist, and I used to work on the Andrew Yang campaign. I did a lot of work with them in, you know, a volunteer basis, but anything like that. How do I contact the creative team?
Sure. So locally, we wouldn't have one of those right now. The national group has a great creative team that does the all the logos and any of the graphics and stuff like that that they then put in. If you're in Slack and if you're a part of social media working group, you can have access to that document and share out whatever they put together. But they are, you know, all the working groups can use as much help as possible. And there's also video team, you know, if someone said that they would do video editing. So I think that's a part of tech. I'm not sure. It might also be a part of the creative team. But I would contact, if you're in, are you in Slack yet, Dawn?
No, this is my first meeting. So
oh, okay, great.
Brand new.
Okay, that's fine. Welcome. If you've signed up,
if anybody wants to join Slack that's on this call that hasn't been added, go ahead and put your email into the chat and I'll make sure that you get added.
Okay.
Well, you have to sign up on the national website if you haven't yet, and click the volunteer, and then you could click national or local, it doesn't matter. And once you do that and then agree to the community agreements, you'll receive an email invite from national to join the national Slack. And once you're in national, then we can add you to the local, but we can't add you to national That has to be done by the admins. And once you're in Slack in the national, right on there at the beginning, there's a start here channel and also a welcome channel where it lists all the different working groups and who the head coordinator is for those working groups. And then you can just shoot them a message through there and they can get saying you're interested in joining their working group or a specific circle within their working group. And they'll bring you in. And then once you're in there also, you can reach out to me or Andrea. We both have our full names there and we'll get you into local. Now, if you are in national Slack already and we haven't gotten to you to get you to the state hub, reach out to us. And, or if you have signed up to volunteer and you haven't been brought into Slack, reach out to us too. But the starting place is to sign up on the national website and to click the volunteer and agree to the community agreements where that's about treating each other with respect and not violating anybody's privacy, things like that, things which are good things. So, and then you can be brought into Slack, which is the working platforms for MPP. So there's national and they have all those groups. And then there's 2 separate working Slack groups. One is for national and then a second one for local, and we'll bring you into local and get you hooked up with us in New Jersey. So we can all be together all the time. Yeah, I know, but that's how you would do it. So for any working group that you wanted to do, that's how you would start out, by national Slack and then, locally, because it is us right here, we're all kind of working together right now, but we do want to start, with working on actions, and getting our word out and sharing, on social media and stuff like that. So I'm a part of the national social media group. So, which is a circle in the media messaging group. But so I post on our New Jersey Facebook page, and then through my personal Twitter account, I share MPP's post, or I comment and which is a great way to share, about MPP, is just by sharing it and bringing it to the attention of your friends and followers. And hopefully they check out the platform, which is the website has a lot of information, very informative, and answers a lot of questions also. And it also helps, with people, asking how we're going to do this or how does this work, so much is laid out right in there. And then once you're inside Slack, there's a lot of documents you'll have access to be able to see what's going on. And so, yeah, this is all great. I got started in July by signing up to go to an action in New Jersey. And then Phil said, well, there isn't one, so why don't you do it? And I was like, no. So, but anyway, so I'm always like, if I can do it, you can do it, because the white hair is real. So, and they're very helpful, like Phil's here again tonight. Phil was on our last call. He's done, before we had our official state meetings, we had several calls with national members and invited people from New Jersey to be a part of that, to learn from national coordinators, what MPP is about. And their weekly Thursday night calls are very informative as well. And then once you're in Slack, you can learn so much just by reading the different threads that are happening and finding out, information that way. And I find everybody to be very helpful. And if it wasn't for MPP, I don't know where I would be. I'd be besides beating my head against the wall right now, so, but, so any other questions? I think I'm in the middle of typing something here.
Yeah, quick question.
Mhm.
So I'm sorry to interrupt twice.
No, that's fine.
I came here through Jimmy Dore's show, and then I've noticed that, which is great. How else do you find, I'm sorry, how are you going to be recruiting people? What's the public outreach look like? I know we can't really do much canvassing. I used to canvass. You can't really do much canvassing now, especially because of COVID. But if the goal is to, get a whole bunch of people on board, it's like, let's get in your face. And I think that the Libertarian Party does a great job of, besides them in their, in their echo chamber, but they do a great job reaching out to a bunch of other people. So how do you plan on expanding?
Well, so Jimmy Dore's been a great friend of MPP's for a long time, for years. I have followed MPP since the inception back in 2016, and only started joining their national calls back in last March or April, after Bernie got screwed yet again. So it turns out there's quite a few people, independent news programs that have featured Nick or MPP, and when I started organizing back in July, nationally, there were about 70,000 people signed up. And so just through outreach, through social media or the independent news or the couple of rallies that we did do, nationally, we are over 125,000 people now. And in New Jersey alone, we were just under 1,800 back in July signed up on through national, and now we are over 3,500. So, you know, whether it's the social media, whether it's the Jimmy Dore show or the like, you know, our convention in August was huge, and we had phenomenal speakers, Nina Turner, Dr. Cornel West, Chase Iron Eyes from the Indigenous People Standing Rock group, the Peter Kalmus, the climate scientist, you know, Marianne Williamson, you know, Peter Gravel has spoke on one of our, Mike Gravel rather, has spoke on one of our national calls recently. So the word is getting out there, and there are people who, you know, there are named people involved in politics who believe in forming a major new party, because obviously the Democrats and the Republicans, I call them Demoplicans, do not work for us. So, you know, so we're growing. I'm glad you're here. And even tonight's call, we had about 70 people sign up for last month's call, and tonight we had over 110. So, you know, more than what we're doing. I don't know what MPP's plan is, but I know that the work I'm doing, the work Andrea's doing, the work that we've asked people to do last week before they left the call, which was to reach out to their friends and family and just talk about MPP. You know, we don't want to force anybody to sign up, but even if you just plant the seed that they, you know, check out the website, check out what they're about, you know, we're growing. And I know, like I said, I don't know what they're going to do after, you know, past that, but I think like Jim said on our call last week, that running local candidates, even if we don't win, getting the name out there, or even if we do win and then we do something small, and even on the local level where you don't have to declare a party, but you win and you tell people you're part of the People's Party and you fixed their streets or you took care of this or that, for them to go, I like them because they did this where the other people didn't, you know? And so for me, it's through positive sharing, discussing the platform, explaining that we are for the people. Everybody gets a voice in what we're doing. No corporate money, no PAC money, and so far it's working.
I guess the more specific question is there a specific person that we could get into contact with, or could whatever? Is there a specific call to action that would be a little bit more organized for a lot of people? Because I think a lot of the people here have already kind of looked into the People's Party and was like, all right, this is pretty cool. I'm going to sit in on a call and everything. So is there a more specific call to action to have us like, hey, or whatever, to assign a team, or do you know what I'm saying? Because on the national level, it's great.
That was a lot to do with, say, like our election day actions, where me and Kate, you know, and we had volunteers go out to the polling stations, and as people came out of their polling stations, you know, we just asked them like, hey, like, how do you feel about your choices? How do you feel about your vote this year? You know, about this election. And a lot of people, you know, do you feel satisfied? And a lot of people were like, no, I'm tired of voting for the lesser of two evils. And people were very willing to talk to us, and we explained, you know, the People's Party and gave them the information. And it's actions like that really help get the word out that, hey, people have more options as far as when it comes to, say, their elections and their candidates. And that's our purpose. And so that was one action that we had done to help promote the People's Party. And, you know, right now, we're going to be planning some more and stuff, but it's getting out there. And it's also, you know, community activism, you know, being a part of your community. And, you know, right now, we're in the process of getting more actions formed to get our name out there as well. And so, you know, whether it'll be with mutual aid, you know, the People Stimulus rallies were a good way to get our name out there, say like, hey, we're here. this is what we believe in. This is what we're doing. Come join us. And we're also doing a lot of coalition building. So what as someone that, as far as coalition building, says, hey, we have the same beliefs and stuff like that. We want to support one another. And their members don't know about the People's Party yet, or that that we're building that in New Jersey. These are important as far as getting the word out and building. And, like Kate said, within just the last few months, I mean, we've grown by 2,000 members with just in the last few months. I mean, it's been growing very, very fast. But that's why we need everybody, especially on this call, to become active and start talking about it, and to join the Slack and, retweet and repost things. And people are like, oh, I like that meme or whatever. And they post it and they say, oh, that's someone in their group's like, oh, that's from the People's Party. Well, what's that? And it starts a discussion. It's up to us to start that discussion, as we start building more actions, so we can be on the floor doing them. It's up to us to just keep this going. But we will be having more, and we have been building and stuff. But the best is to start in that conversation.
And I think if I may, nothing organized, in my experience, I've done grassroots organizing on issue campaigns, and I've done electoral politics. Nothing gets people fired up like being involved in a political campaign. It's exciting, it's focused. I think, Pedro, this is what you were driving at. Like, how do we really focus the energy? What is it that we're asking people to become a part of?
Absolutely,
and asking people
yeah.
to become part of a new political party, and we want to be able to run a presidential candidate in 2024 with this national political party. We've got to be asking the question, do we want to start building the infrastructure at the local level, the county level, and the state level that would be able to support that? And I think, and this is a conversation I'd like to have with people with the national organization, there are 2 gubernatorial races in the country this year, New Jersey and Virginia. And even though it will be a late start, we should be looking as the People's Party to be running a gubernatorial candidate in each one of those states, even if it was an absolute suicide mission, because it will put the People's Party on the map. It would give all of us those things to do. We have a gubernatorial candidate. We're getting state assembly candidates. We're getting state senate candidates. We may not fill out the entire slate all over the state, but again, it focuses that energy. And people say, I'm with the People's Party. Yep, we're organizing for our gubernatorial candidate. This is what we're doing for the next month. We're making our lists. We're making phone calls. We got to get we got to get petitions signed so we can make sure they're on the general election. Again, the machinations of a political campaign, whether it's at the local level, county, state, or federal, focuses political energy like nothing else does. So I do think this is a conversation that we should be thinking about as a state organization, right? Phil Murphy is going to have, I don't think, there's no one else that has filed within the Democratic Party to challenge him in the primary. The Republican candidates that have filed so far, one might be okay in terms of being able to challenge him on a platform. Do we want to put somebody up who would get access potentially into debates, who could be raising the issues? There's no way we're going to beat Murphy. He's got a 70% approval rating. I agree with a lot of the things that he's done, but there are major gaps. John, I see you shaking your head no there, right? But there are major issues that are not being brought up by the Murphy administration that if we had a People's Party candidate would be bringing them up. Right. So, and again, you want to get people excited. You want to get people engaged. This is where I think, we need to be looking at this, and Phil, to bring this conversation back to the national organization. Again, only 2 gubernatorial races in the entire nation this year. So we could be focusing the energy of activists regionally, right? Nationally, saying to activists all the way out in California, hey, we want you making calls into New Jersey for this governor's race or the whole slate of People's Party. We want to see, man, could we pull off a miracle and get 10% of the general election vote and establish the People's Party in the state of New Jersey? Let's say we only get 2%. It's more than we had last time because we had nothing and there wasn't even a party. But we can utilize this as a platform to put the People's Party on the map. So I just want to plant that seed, and if I'm interested to see what other people think. It would be, I mean, think about it. Has anybody here really heard anything about our gubernatorial race? Everyone's absorbed in national politics, totally understandable. But that season has started. We're 11 months away, really 10 months, from a gubernatorial election here in the state of New Jersey, the election of 80 state assembly people, and probably a third of the state senators, county commissioners, formerly counter freeholders, right? And all the elected offices that will be open. Let's jump in. My feeling is, let's jump in. Let's put some campaigns together. Let's get some candidates who are interested in running, and let's have some fun doing it. And then we'll see if we really, if our platform, our messaging, our organizing really resonates. And if there is a desire to have a viable third party here in the state of New Jersey, where we really only have one serious political party because they have the majority of the power all over the place, and that's the Democrats.
So this is why I'm encouraging people to join Slack, because we have these once a month meetings, but it's pretty much just Andrea and I trying to figure out how to get people here. But this is why I'm pushing for you to join the Slack, and then and to start working groups with us so that we can have these discussions within Slack daily, weekly, however we want to do it. Working groups could start, focusing on different things. The election process is, I know some of it, but I know nothing compared to Jim. And Jim, if Jim takes over, if Jim will start the political outreach or whatever we call it, working group, and he can have some people help him, or if people are interested in running, join with him and work with him, and let's get it going. Even for this is why we want you in Slack. That's where the work is happening. We want to have more than just a monthly, general meeting. We want to have specific meetings about doing things, and I want to hear your suggestions. I don't have the answers to everything. I don't have the answers. I don't know what I'm wearing tomorrow, let alone how to win an election. But I need your help. Andrea and I need your help. Jim and Andrea and I need your help. Phil, Andrea, Jim and I need your help. Let's get it off the ground. Let's make some noise. However we can do it. Whether it's the car caravans, pushing for a stimulus, or starting to run candidates. Let's do it. I need you in Slack. We need to start meeting, with specific, instead of the open general meetings that we invited a lot of people to join, not just the MPP members, because we are looking to grow. So we made this an open meeting as we did last month, but we want to have meetings with just our members who want to do the work and get us off the ground.
Well, if I can just reiterate what Pedro was saying, just like a way to transform, use our energy to create action is a great idea, because all of us here have some type of skill and we should utilize that. So Don brought up photography. I am a video editor. Everybody here has a skill set that is viable that we could use to bring attention locally, because the national level, that's too broad to think that way. So if we're focused just on New Jersey, we should really use our talents. I mean, I also heard about this party from Jimmy Dore, and he's just one person. So we can't really rely on just one independent YouTuber. And I just feel that we should be a little more aggressive in our talents and bringing it out there full force, because that's why Bernie Sanders had such a massive following, and same with Trump, and because they had this energy. And I think we need to use our energy for the same cause.
Yeah.
So, that's all.
So where are my Slack signups? Let's do this. If you write in the chat that you're interested in doing something, Andrea and I will also make that note and put it in the our Action Network thing, and make sure you're in Slack with those notes, and we'll start organizing in Slack. Get you in there, and we'll start having discussions in the New Jersey channel and in the local Slack, so that we can start doing this. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely. So, we're running past the hour now. So if anybody has any other questions I just want to wrap up with, not to take too much of anybody's time, but definitely this is, get the working groups going, keep the conversation going. We're just going to keep moving forward and say, congratulations. Everyone that's on this call said, you guys are at the beginning of this in New Jersey. And this is a very exciting time and a, very important time for us. We have a lot of work to be doing.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. I'm also a member of the Northern.
Back to work.
Am I on? I'm sorry.
William, go ahead.
Okay. No, I'm also a member of the Northern chapter of the DSA. And when we think about political change in this country, we need a third party, maybe a fourth, maybe a fifth. And I don't think DSA is a trivial organization. The Northern chapter in New Jersey is doing some really important work on the ICE contracts in Bergen and Hoboken and Essex and other work in Newark. And I had a feeling, and maybe it's just me, that I think there's a reason to be interested in what they're doing and maybe the possibility of the coalition issue. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Absolutely. Coalition building is one of the main focuses of MPP. And I think Andrea wrote in the chat that she is a member of DSA and she does attend their Zoom meetings as well.
Yeah. So William, I'm a DSA member as well. And I've actually talked to, some of the leaders there as well from the North Jersey DSA. And especially when they started talking about, they were interested in running candidates and stuff like that, it's, it was more of, hey, I started that conversation with them and me and Kate are going to be continuing that with them. That I think that the People's Party is a perfect way for them to, to start with, for that coalition building. Hey, we're going to be on that ticket. Let's work together because it's the same values. We align very well. So as long as, we have candidates, if they have a candidate that aligns with our platform and vice versa, let's work together. And I think that's going to be a very good coalition for us. I mean, when we did our People's Stimulus Rally, we had DSA members there. They have been very supportive of us. So that line of communication is open right now. And definitely think that is something that we're going to be building very strongly on.
So I see people asking about social media. So some people might not know MPP has a YouTube channel. They have podcasts. They are on Twitter, Twitch, Reddit. What's the other ones? I don't know. There's a whole array. They're on all social media. So, and if you want to get into Slack, I put the peoplesparty.org//volunteer address into Slack that you need to be signed up there before we can get you into Slack. Once you sign up at the peoplesparty.org/volunteer, you'll receive an invite into the national Slack. Once you're in national Slack, we can bring you into local, but we can't just bring you in from the outside. You have to be signed up and have agreed to the community agreements before we can bring you in. But yes, we're on Facebook. I see somebody.
So everyone that hasn't, just to piggyback off the Slack. So everyone that wants to be joining our local Slack that wrote their email into the chat, if you haven't, if you've already signed up with a national, we'll be able to see that, and then we'll be able to add you into our channel.
Right, so, and we can check the national for your name to make sure that you're on there. And if you didn't receive an invite into national, we can have an admin send you that. And then once you're in national, we'll bring you into local. Okay. So, but
the question that someone had asked is, when is the filing deadline for independent candidates in the 2021 cycle? And it'd be June 1st. It's the day before the partisan primaries will be held. So if anybody wants to run for statewide office, whether it's the gubernatorial level, assembly level, state senate level, I think it's the same. I'm 99% sure it would be the same for county level and local level offices. It's a June 1st deadline. So there's time, but if we really wanted to mount something that was going to have some significance and help us to utilize it as an organizing tool and engine for the People's Party, we would probably want to jump on that sooner than later. And I do think, as I said earlier, that it's a tremendous opportunity for the People's Party at the national level to just pick up on these two governors races and focus a lot of energy on these two governors races to give people stuff to do that are involved with the People's Party, to really give people the electoral experience. Because if you've never organized before in a political campaign, you've never done phone banking, written postcards, in the past going door to door, helping to organize events. Who knows what's that's going to look like come the spring or the summer, if we'll be able to have real, outdoor political events again with the COVID situation. I mean, all of that takes people who have experience in doing it. And the best way to get that experience is to jump in the deep end and just start treading water and learning how to do it through the experience of a political campaign.
Jim. So, any other questions? Or Phil, did you have anything that you could add to what the people are asking or commenting on?
Hey everybody. Thanks, Kate. Yeah, just to some of the questions about, specific organizing and what's going on, a lot of that is just organized locally and amongst yourselves. So it sounds like it might be good to maybe form an outreach circle, but doing outreach, of course, Jim mentioned before, talking to people, spreading the word in your individual circles about the People's Party. And, if you're comfortable, finding ways to do outreach in public spaces, hand out flyers, which we're working on flyers and pamphlets, things like that, to spread the word. And, a lot of it, we try to have people, do it on their own. You can take the initiatives. We don't want to hold you back and tell you what to do. If you have an idea, contact other people that are in the New Jersey People's Party and, organize actions on your own and such. We want you to be empowered on the local level to do outreach, to take action, and not have, we don't want to be telling you what to do. We want to give you, as I tell Kate and Andrea and everybody on board, my job is to make sure you're empowered, informed, and get out of your way. Because in the end, your local community better than us at the national level ever will. So just want to make sure that you feel empowered to do that outreach. I would encourage people to attend a welcome and onboarding call, kind of give you a better idea of, MVP's history and where we're going, our plan for the next 6 months. And one thing that I hope the conversation, I'm grateful for Jim bringing it up about everybody deciding what your goal is for this year, because it is a high bar to try and get 10% of the General Assembly votes, in an election that's 10 months away, but deciding what your goals are for this year. And that would be huge to run a gubernatorial candidate to help raise the profile. But, once again, that's up to y'all in New Jersey as far as what goals you want to set for yourself for this election year. And and anybody can, reach out to me with questions and such. So thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Phil. Zena, Christy, Zena. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions or stuff? Anything?
I have two.
Sure.
How often is that gubernatorial election? That's my first question. Like, will it happen every 2 years?
Every 5 4 years.
2021 and then 2025. Okay. My second question is, Kate had mentioned papering our cars. Does MPP sell magnetic signs with their logo on it? Because if they did, then I would give them the money, If not, I can make my own, have with staples or something.
I don't think there are magnetic signs, but there are lawn sign size signs. There are bumper stickers. I'm pretty good with taking logos and just printing them on paper and taping them to my car. Well, I'm lucky enough I can get away with doing that at my job on a color printer. So I do that, but even a handwritten sign is fine. But if you like the nice professional, you can take the logo. The logos, everything is free to take and use to help promote the party. And so, but they do have the Bill. We should tell them they should make magnetic car signs. Okay.
They do
I'll
have
add
the-
that.
they do have the bumper stickers and the bumper magnetics as well. I mean, they're more on the smaller scale. So,
Yeah.
but as far as say to do a rally, you know, we become very accustomed to, you know, handmade signs or, you know, on your own signs. I don't think MPP has any very large magnetic signs yet. That's something that definitely we'll probably look into as you know, as we move forward and we become to start doing more, say, caravans. But if anybody's interested in, say, just a bumper sticker, the bumper magnetics, they are on the shop and stuff on the national website.
Okay, great. Thank you.
There's shirts and there's I'm wearing a shirt and one of their shirts.
I have a shirt. I have 2 shirts. I have that shirt and then I bought one for my friend.
Yeah. I bought this one and then they came out with the convention one. I was like, well, I want one with fists too. So I got that one too. And then I got a hat and yeah. And then they sent us some small package for the hub of a few buttons and some business cards and just the 3-inch stickers. But yeah, I mean, if we're going to car caravan, I got to work, you know, I can print a bunch of those, you know, paper ones, you know, larger, like we have, I think it's 11 by 17 size paper, but I've also been known to like cut the image in half and print half on one page, half on the other and make it double that size. So, you know, I fool around with that stuff. So, but yeah. Yes, Thomas, there are buttons. Yeah, hi, Tom. I see a lot of friends here tonight and people I've met from different groups and actions and progressive things. And so I'm so glad to see you all and the new people as well. I'm very excited for everyone that has come here and given us their time and is interested in doing this with us. And yeah, so we, you know, you can, my email, and I don't care who has it, is Jersey, like the state, Jersey _ Kate with a C at Hotmail. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Andrea. We have a People's Party, is it NJ People's Party, Andrea, at Gmail? I forget now, but we have that as well. But you can reach out to us and ask us questions, we will get into Slack and we could have, you know, the more often, you know, meetings, you know, for organizing, not open meetings. You know, we'll have the monthly open meetings so that we can invite, you know, the world, but let's get organizing. I'm ready. I'm an activist, not really an organizer. So I like being in the streets. I like getting out and talking to people and meeting like-minded people and hopefully I'm meeting more people.
Times and, you know, I said, you know, me and Kate have always said that if there's an action that you feel very passionate about that you want to get started, let us know. We have, you know, we have the members, we have the people, let's get this going. And that's the best way to get the People's Party name out there. Say, hey, we're here. And, you know, let's do some activism as well. So, you know, especially as we get ready for, you know, our candidates and stuff like that, for the things that we believe in, you know, let's get on the ground. So if anybody has any ideas, that's what's important about these meetings is that we're, you know, for everyone to feel empowered that there's an idea that you have, let's get it going. Cause it's not, you know, just, you know, Kate or, you know, it's us and let's get this going.
Yeah, I want you to tell me what we need to do because, you know, I normally paint banners. That's what I do for actions. I paint banners and stand in streets and yell, you know. So, you know.
I see John with his hand up. Go ahead, John.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I just want to say, you know, Jim really got me fired up talking about the governor's race. Now, I was thinking that we needed a challenger in the primary against Murphy. There are a bunch of issues that has happened that we need to like highlight, like just the EDA recently, the EDA issue that they passed another a corporate bailout. There was a Horizon issue that just passed, and they did that, you know, just last week. So people are saying Murphy is like so progressive, but he's really not. There's the natural gas
Yeah.
terminal down in South Jersey. So we need to bring these issues up to the public.
Right. Yeah, because Murphy's not the progressive guy that he ran to be, especially not on the environment, which is my main concern. But yeah.
If you look through Governor Murphy's Wikipedia page, fun fact, I don't remember if it's Goldman Sachs. I want to say it's Goldman Sachs. Point being, he was actually a senior VP and then a CEO of East Europe for, I want to say Goldman Sachs. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I'm just going to stick with it. But Goldman Sachs. And then he ended up being the VP of Asia, the whole East Asian market, right? And then after he got out of that, he almost immediately went to working for the Democratic Party. And that was in 2007, 2008, when the economic collapse happened, and then they came up with the great bill to bail out banks and everything. So stupid fishy, right? And then he had another position with the DNC. I don't remember what it was, but then he went to running for the governor of New Jersey. And it's rough because I really liked him, approve of him and everything. But when I finally went and looked into him, I'm like, all right, everyone here is an adult. Everyone here knows how shady politics is. He had to admit, you know what I'm saying? It's upsetting when you think about it.
It was tremendously shady. I was actually at a political event where someone who was a consultant on Murphy's campaign was probably 6 drinks heavier than they should have been, talking shop, and basically said to me, yeah, we went around and bought up the county lines in every county. Phil was able to use his financial wherewithal to buy those lines up. And once you get the line, you're winning. You're correct. It was Goldman Sachs. When Phil was director of the Asian desk, he was pumping tons of money into Pao Chen Corporation, which was Nike's largest subcontractor, exploiting the hell out of workers. While I was in Indonesian slums living with Nike factory workers, trying to explain to people what their lives were like, Phil was on the Asian side of Wall Street, trying to exploit those workers in those factories to maximize the profits for Goldman shareholders. So a lot of this stuff was not brought out. I thought there were great hits that could have been levied on him during the primary cycle last time around, both with John Wisniewski and oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the other guy's name. Both of them were solid primary candidates, but I don't think they swung hard enough at Phil. And again, if we had a gubernatorial candidate, it doesn't have to be a lot of stuff. As John mentioned, just the fracking or the natural gas pipeline issue is one. This EDA vote or policy that was just pushed on this past week is another. There are a handful of things that we could just be relentless on that I think would put the People's Party out there and everyday people who would agree with us on that stuff, where we would say, look, we want to give you an opportunity. We know we're not going to win this election, but we're building for 2, 4, 10, 20 years out from now. So you and your kids and your grandkids won't have to make that choice of the evil of 2 lessers every election cycle. So yeah, you're right, Pedro. There's plenty of stuff that could create ammunition for a fun campaign against our governor.
Thanks.
So, I'm an older woman with 2 cats, so I could stay here all night, but we are way past the time. And if people want to end the meeting, we can do that, or we can sit and chat while I smoke and, I'm just kidding. Andrew and I are going to go through the chat, make sure that everybody who said that, they're signed up or they're in national or already, we're going to make sure that you're in the local Slack. And if you haven't signed up, make sure, please do at peoplesparty.org/volunteer. And we're going to get busy in New Jersey. Okie dokie.
I want to thank everybody again for, coming here tonight. We're going to have our next meeting the first Wednesday in February, and we'll be talking more about ranked choice voting then as well. And just again, if anybody has any suggestions or any ideas on, any actions, let us know. And we'll make sure that everyone gets plugged into Slack. So we make sure that we stay connected. And definitely we'll get, if you need help getting into a working group, let us know, because that's definitely a good way to help, promote and start pushing the People's Party. So again, thank you everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Zena. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, John. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.